Greetings gamers, ex-gamers and friends and family of gamers. Well, it's day 21 and so far day 20 passed rather uneventfully. As soon as I made the decision to ramp up the heat on the challenge, my cravings for that pizza burger went away. I managed to discipline myself to have only 2 meals and no snacks, and my evening meal was smaller. Now, despite having fewer calories, I was a lot calmer and managed to get through the day without feeling irritable. I've had no temptation to game whatsoever, and my sleep was long and uninterrupted, although I didn't wake up refreshed as I would have liked. When I weighed myself this morning, I was 126.4 kilograms or 279 pounds, which is right on the lower bounds of the plus or minus 1 kilogram weight fluctuation I would expect if there was no weight loss, which is to be expected since it's only been 24 hours. Now, I have to confess, I am feeling a little intimidated since I know food is an awful lot harder to quit, even for a short time, than gaming. With gaming or narcotics or tobacco or alcohol, you can just say no to yourself and say, nope, I am not playing, I'm not taking that substance, I am not doing that at all. With food, you have to eat to live, and once you start eating, it's very hard to stop. Now, this brings me to the topic of this video, which is the substance or behaviour makes a huge difference to how easy it is to become addicted. In terms of substance abuse, some substances have been highlighted as being more addictive than others. According to drugabuse.com, the following drugs are more addictive than others, and that is amphetamines. These are colloquially known as uppers. They're stimulants and they work by releasing dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter. Tolerance builds up rapidly, requiring addicts to constantly increase their dosage, which brings on psychotic episodes. Benzodiazepines, these are anti-anxiety medication, and they work by enhancing the action of the neurotransmitter GABA, or gamma-aminobutyric acid. They're metabolized quickly by the body, meaning the addict has to keep taking them in order to maintain the effects. As a result, tolerance is built up quickly and the addiction can set in after as little as 6 weeks. Ironically, methadone is often used to treat heroin addiction and works by blocking the opioid receptors so that opioids like heroin won't give the addict a high. Unfortunately, methadone can be more addictive than heroin itself. Now, GHB and GBL are depressants or downers, and they basically have similar effects to alcohol. Unfortunately, the dose required to achieve the desired effect is very close to the dangerous levels of overdose, making the drugs very easy to overdose on. And nicotine is the drug smokers crave when they use tobacco. It works by mimicking the effects of acetylcholine receptors, giving the smoker a buzz, but the brain adapts to reducing the number of acetylcholine receptors to compensate, forcing the addict to keep taking the nicotine in order to feel normal. Alcohol, or technically ethanol, works by promoting the release of endorphins, which are naturally occurring morphines, and result in relaxation, loss of inhibition, and reduced levels of pain and mild euphoria, though the way it works is complicated and varies depending on the type of person who is drinking and that person's drinking habits. Genetics plays a large factor in how different people experience alcohol differently. Over time, alcohol can be addictive and the withdrawal symptoms can be very severe and even life-threatening. Now, cocaine works as a stimulant, increasing heart rate and providing a steady flow of dopamine, resulting in a high. But this quickly exhausts the brain's supply of the neurotransmitter, and cocaine is quickly metabolized, resulting in a constant craving for more. Now, crack is basically the same thing as cocaine, but is mixed with baking soda and smoked instead of snorted, resulting in a more rapid high, and the addiction sets in much quicker. Crystal meth is a drug that acts in a similar way to cocaine in providing a steady stream of dopamine but also noradrenaline, which Americans will know as norepinephrine. The drug builds up tolerance even quicker than cocaine or crack and quickly leads to addiction. The side effects of withdrawal symptoms can be particularly harrowing. Heroin is often considered the most addictive drug of all, but studies have shown that the method of consumption affects the level of addiction, with those who inject being more prone to addiction than those who smoke. It has been said that a single dose of heroin is all that is required to cause a person to become addicted. Withdrawal symptoms are severe. The common stereotype is often drug abuse is a train journey, beginning with something relatively mild like cannabis and ending with mainlining or injecting directly into the vein. Heroin is considered the last stop before death by overdose. Now, that being said, from personal experience of working with people giving up drugs, amongst those who smoke tobacco, drink alcohol and take various drugs, including heroin, my admittedly small sample size reported that heroin was far easier to give up than tobacco. Now, MDMA is commonly known as Molly or ecstasy and is considered a party drug used socially. People taking the drug tend to feel very affectionate towards everyone. It is a stimulant that raises heart rate and blood pressure. Addicts quickly build up tolerance, and withdrawal symptoms include severe fatigue and depression. However, according to Mental Health Daily, MDMA is on the list of least addictive drugs, along with the likes of anabolic steroids and poppers, otherwise known as amyl nitrates, which shows how dangerous these lists are and how poorly understood the addiction process is. That being said, there is no doubt that some drugs, like heroin, are far more addictive than drugs like caffeine, which are said to be more habit-forming than addictive. Perhaps the main reason it's so difficult to pin down the most addictive substances is that the way the drugs are taken, as we looked at in a previous video, also affects how addictive they are. In the same way, some video games are more addictive than others. It should go without saying that the more fun games tend to be the most addictive, which is why Call of Duty and World of Warcraft are still up there as two of the most infamous games when it comes to the number of hours sunk into those games and the difficulty people have trying to quit. According to Cheat Sheet's website, the editors ranked Call of Duty as the most addictive game, with World of Warcraft a close second, based on the number of players and the estimated number of hours sunk into the game. Call of Duty is a first-person shooter game, meaning the player looks through the eyes of the character they're playing, and the game generally involves using a firearm in order to kill other players or non-playing characters. Call of Duty was released in 2003 and has at least 15 different titles under the Call of Duty banner. The franchise is owned by Activision, who also own Blizzard Entertainment's World of Warcraft, the second most addictive game. World of Warcraft is classified as an MMORPG, or massive multiplayer online role-playing game, where players work cooperatively or competitively to complete quests, explore the massive online virtual world, and pick up rewards and achievements, as well as cosmetic items, mounts and pets, which enhance the gameplay. There is no actual ending, and the story quests are supplemented with side quests and repeatable quests, which means the game can be played indefinitely. The website lists the third most addictive game as The Sims, which is a sandbox type game, sometimes called a life simulator game. The game is published by EA, which is one of the largest AAA game publishers. The game is extremely popular, and the ability to control the whole lives of characters from cradle to grave and decide who gets to go out with whom and how they live and where they live and what job they do all makes the game extremely easy to keep playing. The requirement to constantly log on and give instructions to the game, or else your Sims will gradually get sick and may even die, makes gaming particularly compulsive. Now, EverQuest is listed on the website as the 4th most addictive game and acknowledged as the first video game to be recognised as addictive. It was the game that made the whole world aware that video games could potentially be problematic. This game was launched in 1999 by Sony Online Entertainment and still has a strong following. Minecraft is listed as the 5th most addictive game, which is concerning as it has a very young player base and is one of the first really addictive games children are exposed to. Minecraft is a blocky world that reminds people of the extremely popular children's toy Lego. It is a very open-ended game and children can let their imagination run wild, building just about anything they want, from a simple hole in the ground dwelling to a functioning redstone computer. As such, teachers tend to use it to help teach children basic computer architecture, while children go on to build and design their own video games within the video game. Candy Crush Saga is developed by King and is a puzzle game played on mobile phones. King is actually owned by Activision Blizzard and, along with World of Warcraft and Call of Duty, makes that company exceedingly dominant in the gaming market. The game is played by matching 3 candies, eliminating them from the board. Matching 4 or more candies gives special candies that provide power-ups to help clear the board faster. The game is free to play, but players can spend money to buy items that help them clear more challenging boards. Despite being free to play, players spend so much money clearing boards that King was at one time making $1 million per day. The website goes on to list other games like Tetris, which is also a puzzle game like Candy Crush, often played on mobiles, and Grand Theft Auto, which is an action-adventure fantasy game where players can act out some of their darker fantasies in a safe environment. However, just with the list of most addictive drugs, other publishers put the list in a different order, with Minecraft topping the list of most addictive games to the top 10's website, with World of Warcraft coming in 4th and Call of Duty coming in 13th place. Video game addiction is a very new topic and very poorly understood, and just as with drugs, it is obvious that some games, especially MMORPG games, tend to be more addictive than other games such as educational video games like Mario is Missing and Mario Teaches Typing, or exercise games like EA Sports Active series, which tends to be considered non-addictive. If you feel that you might have a problem with excessive gaming and are worried you might be developing an addiction, why not follow along or try out this simple test of going game free for a month? Remember, it can be any month and you don't have to start on the 1st. Why not post a comment and let me know how you're doing, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But as for me, hopefully, soon to be slightly less fat, hairy, 20 days and counting non-gamer, I'll look forward to seeing you in another video.